Hi, everybody, welcome back to another episode of FSi DFS Fantasy Baseball Picks. I'm host Mega31. Again, I apologize. I know the videos have been sporadic and few and far between, but if you watch NASCAR, you understand that my parents went through some changes. My dad had to move into a skilled nursing facility. My mom's alone in a big house, so I'm 100 miles away from them. So I've been spending most of my days off and free time going up there and trying to see my dad and trying to get my mother situated and out of that house. So it's been very time consuming. Fortunately, had to step down to take care of some family stuff. He and I shared videos, and so I will get them out when I can. Today I'm off, so it's great. It's a game slate. I'm really excited about it. So we'll break it down, and like I said, I will try to get out as many as I can, and I think like in the next couple of months things will kind of settle down, and I should be able to get out at least like 3 to 4 weeks. So again, apologize, but I appreciate you sticking with me and watching this one. And let's go out and win some money today. Really nice slate, no weather concerns. If you're playing the turbo slate, that one looks pretty cool. A lot of great hitting situations, but there's some major weather concerns there. But we're not going to cover that. We're going to cover the 10 game main starting at 7:05. So the first game we have Kansas City and Tampa Bay. And before I get too far into it, at the end of the video, I'll give you the course, but I'm going to do an extra step today, just as a thank you for coming back and watching. Um, if you go into I don't like how DK does the missions now, where they put them, where you have to like opt in every single day for it, and there really haven't been that great recently. But today it was a pretty cool one because you could decide which one you wanted to do, and I opted for like I think you get like 750 crowns if you play a $10 plus one. So, but then I also saw there's another promo today that if you play the $18 bat flip, so I mean that's plus $10, so that makes a lot of sense to go into that one. Um, that if you pick four players who hit home runs, you get a share of like 10 million crowns, which I've not money, but crowns, you can use them for different things. I bought iPads for the kids for Christmas and stuff like that. Used them to get into some bigger contests and stuff. So, I think crowds are still valuable there. So, at the end of the video, I'll go over my talk about some home run players that I'm going to put in that lineup. It's not going to be a conventional lineup where usually I like trying to stack and correlate and things like that. I'm just purely probably going to punt pitchers, sacrifice the $18 and trying to go for the crowns. But maybe we can build a balanced lineup with some value pitchers, get the home run bats in that I want. A couple value plays I'll throw out there for you also. So, continuing on here with the breakdown, Kansas City and Tampa Bay. Wind blowing in 81 degrees. So, and this Tampa Bay park has been a better hitting park. So, 3.84 total for Kansas City seems a little low. Um, Lorenzen and Bradley, uh, both pitchers have been solid to start the season. So I think that they both could potentially be in play here. I think Bradley I like in the mid range, and Lorenzen, if you're trying to save somebody, he's only at 6'8". But Tampa Bay has been hitting pretty well at home. So bat wise against Bradley, I don't know. Kansas City, it's probably just gonna be GPP. Maybe I take a small stack of like maybe Witt, Pascatino, Massey. I don't know if India really want righty on righty there. One thing I've been finding this season, and I don't know, maybe put in the comments if you have any thoughts on it. It just seems like third base is a wasteland. Unless you're paying up for like Riley for Atlanta or Devers for Boston, there's often slates where I'm trying to stack two teams together, and I'm like, who the heck am I going to play at third base here? And I usually like I'm just taking the cheapest person on the board and just kind of punting the position and then just paying up for the other players in the stack. So yeah, it's a little bit better, I think, at FanDuel because sometimes they have more multiple position eligibility, but I just like third base is just like so hard. Um, to fill. And like India's one player that could potentially do it. You got two third base players potentially on Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, I really like them as a really cheap fill in here. So like Simpson leading off has been doing really well, taking advantage of some of the injuries in the outfield. You got lefty there, Lau. At second base in play, Aranda. So your top three hitters there, you're paying 3.5, 4.4, and 4.5. Not too bad. Um, for that. And then if you want to go to third base, you'd pick Diaz or Caminero, and then Meisner at 4-2 isn't a bad six. So out of the top six there, you just pick whatever third baseman you want, and that stock works pretty well for you. So I definitely like some Tampa Bay. Up next, we have the Red Sox and the Blue Jays. Crochet going against Bowden Francis. Crochet, I think, is definitely in play here. I know he had a little bit of disappointing start last time out. Blue Jays definitely have a lot of righties here to throw against him, but I think he'll still be pretty good here. Toronto middle of the road with strikeouts, but Crochet has been decent. So I think probably my second favorite pitcher on the slate. I think Peralta I'd pay up for there. DeGrom just scares me. I'll get to that um, a little bit, and then I think Pivetta and Weber definitely in play also. But Crochet, if you have the money to pay up, I think is definitely a fine play. Francis in the cheap range, I think is okay, but the lefties here just kind of scare me in this Boston team. And Bregman hits both sides of the plate pretty well also. So looking at the Boston bats, Duran, like he only has one home run this season. I just find that kind of hard to believe, but he's really producing leading off there and getting hits and driving and runs. Devers, I think, is a great option here to get a home run. Potentially Bregman's been solid. Story right in, right if you want to skip it, that's fine. Abreu, like him here in the fifth position, then maybe I'd skip over Campbell and Cassis started off ice cold, and we know he's got a lot of potential. He's done really well in spring training, but the one thing is the batting coach has been working with him, telling him to stand more upright. And actually, when he does and his stance is more upright, he's actually been having more power, and he's hit a couple home runs recently. So I think he could be in play there. Navarez and Rafael I probably would leave out of the stack unless you need a cheap catcher and doing a wraparound thing. Toronto, definitely take some shots on him in GPP. Pretty low total here, 362. But you probably just want to go all righties here. Bichette, Guerrero, Santander, like coming off of Baltimore, I thought this was a great pickup for him, but he's been kind of cold recently. Um, and I don't know against like Crochet if that's the one. Like I definitely like this better if they were in Fenway than in the Blue Jays Stadium. But Springer, I think he's shaking off the injury. He's been fine. Kirk is okay. Jimenez, I really like, but lefty and lefty, not loving that. I really like him against righties. I think he was another good pickup here. And then the bottom of the lineup always has a little bit of potential. I probably wouldn't play Varsho lefty and lefty, but Clement or Straw, who's got some speed and a little bit of pop, if you want to throw them in and do a wraparound thing to save you some money, I'm okay with that. Arizona and the Mets. Eduardo Rodriguez against David Peterson. Got two lefties here. Peterson, I think, could potentially be in play. I like Arizona against righties much better, but you definitely have some right-handed bats here who have some power, like Suarez, who a couple days ago had four home runs. It's funny just seeing the calls on social media to like have him tested for PEDs, but it's just McKinley did. He's still around in our chat and did point out that he's like all or nothing. Like his batting average is so low, but he's got all these home runs. It's just like bomb or bust, kind of like Joey Gallo or who was it? Hamilton? Was he the guy that hit like all those home runs for Texas a couple years ago in the at Yankee Stadium and the home run derby? And yeah, so it's just like a case like that. But anyways, pitcher wise, Erod, I don't really like it. The Mets are on fire. They scored 19 runs yesterday. They've been hitting pretty well. Like Soto's been not as good as last year here, but I think it's definitely going to come lefty on lefty there. But definitely got to like the righties. Peterson on the other side here. I think you could maybe consider him in a GPP at 7-8 can probably get you 12 to 15 DK points. So that's not horrible. I think you're almost saving like $1,000 off of Erod here, and I think he could definitely probably put up some more points. The only thing that really scares me is that the wind's blowing out 20 miles per hour here, so it's definitely in a pitcher's park is going to make hitting a little bit better. And 73, the weather is decent, so the ball should carry a little bit better than a 30 or 40-degree night. So Arizona bats predominantly leading off. That's fine. Carroll lefty and lefty. I'm okay with. Grichuk usually gets moved up, and Gurriel. They're both super cheap here. 2.9 and 3.7. That's and then Suarez at 4.5. Definitely someone to look at. Moreno, a catcher, works also at 3K. So if you take Carroll out of the stack and Naylor, the two like expensive bats that are lefties, like you could build a righty stack here, like super cheap. You're talking 4-4, 2-9, 3-7, 4-5, and 3K. So that might be a stack to take, and not maybe not in cash games, but in GPPs. If you just take that, then you can pay up for like the pitchers. Get what the pitchers you want. Probably find some nice plays to fill in the open positions, and I think that's definitely going to be a lineup I'm going to try. It's not going to probably be my primary cash or GPP lineup, but I'm definitely intrigued by the right-handed Arizona stack with how cheap it's going to be. Mets on the other side, I really like this also. I don't think their arms are too tired from yesterday. Lindor leading off is good. Alonso crushes lefties, so definitely like him. Vientos has really started to put things together recently. Marte is coming along too, is back and healthy again. Nemo had a great day yesterday, 2 home runs, 9 RBIs, but lefty and lefty, I don't know if I'll go with them there. Alvarez is back in the mix here with as a righty. And Acuna down here too. Don't forget him. Like he doesn't have a home run yet this season, but his ISO numbers and power numbers are pretty amazing. So I think it's just a matter of time before he starts hitting a couple out of the park. Yeah, he's not like he's a 37, so he's like moderately to low price, but I think if you're doing a Mets stack, I don't mind a wrap around it. And Taylor on the bottom of the stack isn't bad either. And usually get you about like 5 points at 2.5. So it's not that if you want to get a little bit interesting and go like 7, 8, 9, 1, 3, or even if you go like 7, 8, 1, 3, 4, something like that, just kind of mix and match the righties here for the Mets also, then I kind of like that in a build. Again, not going to be a favorite. Definitely going to be playing some Mets and some GPP lines, but not cash. But speaking of cash, we have Peralta, who could probably be one of the higher owned pitchers here, probably 25 to 35, maybe 40%. It's got a great matchup here against the White Sox. Now, the White Sox have been striking out as much recently. They've kind of moved to middle of the road, but if you look at them against right-hand pitching, they start to move up into the top 10 with I think it was like a 22 or 23% K rate in the last like 14 days. So, um definitely Peralta, like him here, has been solid, probably one of the most solid pitchers on the slate, because as I'm going through like box scores and looking at like who's been good recently, like some of the better pitchers have had a uh-oh moment in like the last couple of games. But Peralta, I think, has been pretty solid straight through. White Sox, they have an opener in Gilbert, and then Wilson's coming in. Like it, and then if you look at the White Sox bullpen, they're sixth worst. So I think definitely Milwaukee is probably, if you're not paying up for Atlanta and Coors Field, who's not super high. It's just like everybody's like in the 5K range, and there I think you get a little bit of savings here in Milwaukee, so you're able to get some better pitching here, and I really like. So I know you're gonna have like a lefty starting off, and so you could play pretty much anybody. Don't worry about the splits because they're probably only going to see. Gilbert's probably going to go like one time through the lineup, even if he gets to the bottom, it might not matter. Um, so again, I'm not touching the White Sox pitchers, but I really like Milwaukee here, probably for my cash. So Turang, Churio, Yelich, Contreras, Frelick has been solid there in the fifth spot and usually is reasonably priced. Hodgkins is has good numbers against Gilbert if he makes it that far. So it'd only be like the second inning if he should be able to see him at least once. So Hoskin has been underwhelming to me this season, but here I think he might be able to play him. And then the bottom ones of the lineups and Collins, Ortiz, and Durbin. If you need some value, I'm fine with them. They can usually get you about 6 points, and at like 2K, then I'm perfectly fine with that. White Sox, it used to be GPP only. Palacios Benintendi has been not doing bad recently, and the White Sox have a horrible record but they're not striking out as much recently. They're not. They're putting up some runs. They put up like a crooked number the other day. So it's kind of like a ragtag bunch that I I sometimes just throw like a dollar lineup on them just in case like they are starting to put something together and catching fire. It's probably not going to last. It might be like 3 or 4 seasons ago where Pittsburgh was putting up like runs like crazy. And I think they actually led their division for like the first month or so, and then reality set in, and they kind of faded back to what they normally was. I think it was like Cruz's like first season before he got, and then I think he got like injured the year he like broke his leg or whatever, and then everything went downhill after that. But anyways, what I'm saying is take some shots on the White Sox with the cheap bats here. They make a nice mini stack, especially having a catcher hitting fourth who's a switch hitter. So if you just want to take like the lefties and you're filling two outfield spots and a catcher, so it doesn't take up too much room. Maybe like a three-man stack there as a value. Athletics and Rangers, Estes and DeGrom. Estes, I'm probably not touching here. Uh, Not interested. The Rangers, again, have been a little underwhelming also. They came off like the World Series hangover and just I just think that they're starting to get healthier here. Like Langford's really coming along, and like they've got some players out, like Seager's out again, injured, and they've got some other players like that should hopefully be coming back. But like Josh Smith has really stepped up and did well. Like Jock Peterson's still there, and I think he's eventually going to come around. Um, so Estes, I'm really not looking at. DeGrom, he's got a five total first couple starts, and then like I always worried that he's just gonna go out there and just like get injured. But his last two starts have been solid, great scores on DK 8-8's not. I don't think you're ever gonna see the 10 strikeout to Grom. I think it's gonna be like more 6 to 7 here. And the Athletics have been like middle of the road. They haven't been striking out as much this season. So again, I'll probably play some DeGrom. I just really am going to debate it because like in the same price range, I think you have like was it Pavetta and no, Pavetta's a little bit more expensive, but like Bryce Miller, I think is like right there with him and about the same price range, a little bit cheaper, like Reese Olson. Like I'll really have to think about if I'm going to play almost 9K DeGrom, but I definitely can make a case for it. So I'll probably give in and do it, and like just in case, like probably gonna be like 40% owned. So probably just to match the field. But again, it's gonna take a little bit of debate before I settle in on him. And it's not because I don't like the matchup or think that he's going to get blown up. I just worry that he only goes out there for like 2 innings or so and like starts to feel something or something happens again. And I just feel like there's like just hear a ticking noise when I like put him in a lineup, and it's just hope that he can do what he needs to before the clock runs out. Bat wise, athletics I think definitely make a decent a contrarian stack here, like Butler, Soderstrom. I really like him better against lefties, so I probably won't play too many A's or any A's at all here. Texas, I really like too. I think they're my favorite cheaper stack here, especially with Smith leading off at 3-4. Langford should be solid. His ISO numbers look good against Estes as a pitcher. Jock Peterson, his numbers look like the potential looks good. I just know he hasn't really come alive, and maybe this is the one where you get a cheap home run out of him at 2-4. I think there's worse if you don't feel you're really sacrificing an outfield spot at 2-4 in a good matchup here. If he is batting third, I'd say go for it. And the rest of the lineup, you're pretty right-handed heavy here, so um, I think they can do some damage, but like Simeon's like really kind of cooled off, and so he's been moved down to the middle of the lineup. Garcia's still solid. Young again, I'd probably prefer a lefty. There's Heim if he moves up a little bit in the order, maybe as a switch hitting catcher. Tavares has a little speed on the bottom. Berger, I don't think makes sense against a righty, so probably a mini stack with Texas here as some cheap fill-ins to make your other more pay-up stacks work. Detroit and Houston, Olson and Gusto. Olson I really like here. Again, his pitcher's had a couple of oops, but his last two outings have been pretty solid. And Houston is kind of middle of the road here. They're starting to get a little bit better. And Walker and Altuve had home runs yesterday, but it's just not the team it was when they had Tucker and Bregman on it, and some of the other ones that have gone on. They're still good. They're still formidable. They're still at home, but they just don't have the bite that I feel like they used to. So I think Olson's fine here, and they're so right-handed heavy also. So I never mind decent right-handed pitchers against them. So Olson's definitely in play for me. Gusto on the other side. I mean, I can see it, but Detroit has been better at strikeouts. I mean, they're still in the top 10, but they're at 22%. So there's some K upside there. But Carpenter is starting to hit better. Carpenter's good. Riley Green's starting to snap out of it. Torkelson's been solid. So they've been good. The pretty low totals here on both sides, 375. So Detroit, I think, makes a decent cheap stack. Again, I stick to maybe the lefties on top here. Carpenter, McKenzie, Green. Jung's really struggling. I wouldn't play him. He's like, I've read reports that he's flirting with maybe getting dropped down to the minors. If Sweeney moves up, he's okay there. I would play Dingler at 4-2. Like you've got much better catcher options for cheaper price with splits advantage. And Baez is just a baseball player right now. I just can't play him offensively. He's like almost playing like Amon. He's just like a defensive player at the bottom of the lineup that like for 3-3. I mean, if he was 2K flat, maybe I'd consider him as a punt, but like he is a shadow of what he used to be when he was on the Cubs like in 2005 when they won the World Series. So Houston bats, like maybe Alvarez is a one-off here, but pretty expensive. I just really don't like. And Detroit's got the best bullpen, ERA wise there. So like even if Olson has a bad game, like they have got great arms to bring in. So like I just Houston GPP stack maybe, but I just really probably not playing much of them here. Okay, now we're on to Coors Field, 57 degrees, so a little bit cooler, but wind blowing out 6 miles per hour. You have AJ Smith Shawver getting called back up from AAA and Marquez on the other side. So Marquez is going to be a no. I liked him like 3, 4 years ago on the road. I think he was a solid pitcher, and I always kept on saying these videos. I just wish he got like traded to another team so he didn't have to pitch in Coors Field. And now he's not even pitching good outside of Coors Field, let alone inside Coors Field. So he's definitely a huge fade here, not touching him. Smith Shawver has a lot of K upside. The Colorado team is second in K is behind the Angels at 27.4%. So this is definitely a really good K matchup. But Smith Shawver is giving up hard contact, and it's probably one of those things where you could go out there and get 8 or 9 strikeouts, but he might give up 3 runs and all of them on home runs. So at 7.5, I think that's something that I'll take a shot on in GPP because the Rockies at times have been abysmal, even at Coors Field. They are so injured. You look at Learmas Tovar's out of this lineup. Bryant is like always out of the lineup, it seems. Um, and I think there's some other ones that are banged up that should still be out there too. So, but people have risen up and replaced them where Beck and Goodman have come in, but I think you can still play Smith Shawver as a GPP pitching option. For the Braves, you gotta love them. Gotta be a top stack at 6.43 against Marquez and their bullpen's been better in Colorado. But if you have to use a lot of it, then and you're down after like your starting pitcher gets lit up, then you're not going to see the good part of the bullpen. They're probably going to mail the game in. So I don't think that's going to be a huge factor. And in years past, like I haven't checked this year, but the Rockies never really had many left-handers in the bullpen too. So So Verdugo leading off here is great. Riley has just been super solid. And like he's the most expensive one at 5'9", which is good because sometimes when you see like the Dodgers at Coors Field, like Otani's like 7K. So I feel like it's kind of like a little discount there. Ozuna's in play here. Olson, I like Murphy, the catcher, like a little bit disappointing yesterday, but like he's got such power, and even against a righty, I think he's in play here. Albies, like if he's hitting down at 6 at 5'7", that's that's really hard to get like a full like stack in here. Like Verdugo at 4K helps, but with everybody else being in the 5K range, that kind of Harris has cooled off a little bit. I like it better when he's like leading off, but he still can do some damage down here. White and Nick Allen, if you have to, I mean they're professional baseball players against Marquez in Coors Field, but they don't have the splits advantage or anything. So maybe if it helps you to do like a wraparound and take like White or and Allen or one of the two of them, and then go Verdugo, Riley, Olson, and then pick Murphy or Ozuna as your other player, and then I think that could work. Colorado, like I'll take some shots in GPP here. Probably maybe just the top five. Although Moniak's not bad here, so you probably like the lefties more. So maybe like Skip Doyle, give me back at 3-5, McMahon, Goodman, who's been hitting well, Togia, who's a switch hitter, and then maybe Skip Farmer and put like Moniak in. Next up, we have the Giants and the Padres. Super low total here at 6.5. Should be a pitching duel. Webb and Pivetta. I think both of them are in play. The Giants are good. They will throw lefties out there. Yastrzemski's okay. Holy's been good, but then the rest of them are probably going to be kind of right-handed heavy. They don't have as much mix and matching as they have in the past. And Pavetta's been solid. And then Webb on the other side, like besides Tatis, like Reza should be back in lineup after the concussion and the scare there. Sheets is usually good against right-handed pitching. Machado's been okay, but then like the bottom of this lineup, like Ornals, Ingles, Wade, and Diaz righty and righty. Maybe 4 DK points out of them. I just don't think they have a ton of like Heath here. I think like they're a good baseball team. They're getting good results, and they do have the potential. They're not like Toronto, like where they always seem like you look at the lineup and there are some scary bats on the top, and then the bottom is like some days they might show up, and if everything clicks, look out. So I always think like San Diego's a decent like GPP, and the Giants the same thing here too. I think like as hedges, like put a stack of both of them in like $1, but I really think you really want to hammer the pitchers here and avoid the bats in this game. Angels and Seattle. Oh, chat will probably probably uh come after me for trying to pronounce this name. I can't pronounce it sometimes. So Kochanowicz. So Kochanowicz, the Angel pitcher. So if you have a phonetic spelling for it, like you all help me say cease correctly, um, then throw that in the chat for me. Bryce Miller on the other side, got that one, no problem. Um, so Kochanowicz been up and down. Seattle has been up and down also, like hitting wise. So I probably not gonna watch him unless I really need to pound at 5-5. But I don't know how deep he's going to go into the game. I think like some of the games he's only gone like a couple innings, so you're really, especially on FanDuel, you don't want to play that because you really want to try to get to that. Let's see here. He has gone. Oh, he went 6 innings last time out. 4, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I guess so, but he had 9 DK points against Pitt. He had negative 1.5 against Texas. He had negative 4 against Houston. And he started off the season with back-to-back 15s, but strikeouts 3, 1, 1, 4, 4. So not a pitching option, really. He's in the cheap one. If you're doing a punt and a GPP, then Seattle does have a 23.3% strikeout rate. So if he is going to be pitching a little bit deep into the games, he's probably going to give up runs, but he could get enough strikeouts to make value for you. Probably you're looking at like 10 DK points here. You're probably not getting 20 or 25, but I don't know. Who knows? Maybe he'll come out there and he lights out tonight. Miller on the other side, really like him. I think he's got such a solid matchup here against the Angels, who, again, they have some potential and power on this team. It just doesn't always manifest itself. Now, I know against Boston, like Miller was pretty bad. He gave up 4 runs, but really he's given up 1 home run this season. He had averaging 4 to 5 strikeouts. He had 8 against Cincinnati. So I think that this is a solid matchup for him. The Angels have a 32.7% K rate. So it's a great strikeout matchup. I think you just got to lock in Bryce Miller as your SP1 here and then decide if you want to pay up for Crochet or Peralta. Go a little bit more mid-range with Pivetta or Webb for your second one, or then take another value you want to get bats. But I think Bryce Miller is like where you want to lock in here. Angels bats would just be contrarian. Seattle bats, Polanco, Raleigh. Pelez was a little bit banged up, but I could do a wraparound with Master Boney at 2-3, but Crawford I don't really play anymore. Dylan Moore has been solid this season, but I like him better against the lefty and when he's hitting higher up. But if you have to put him in there as like your second baseman to make your stack work, then I'm fine with that. Final game of the night, we have the Marlins and Dodgers. Alcantara has been a decent pitcher in the back, but he's got like a 6 ERA this season. Like he has been on the struggle bus to start things out here. Yeah, it wasn't a bad start against Cincinnati last, but he only had 4 Ks. He went 102 pitches, gave up a home run, 3 earned runs. I got 11 DK points, but again, he started off the season not bad against Pittsburgh and Miami. Went 4-2 in 5 innings, but then only 5 innings against Washington, only 2 innings against Philly, and now he gets the Dodgers. So no, thank you here for me. Not a ton of power problem in those 5 starts. He's only given up 3 home runs, but uh, it's a decent night in Dodger Ballpark, 65 degrees. So it's pretty mild and wind blowing out a little bit at 9 miles per hour. So that helps a little bit. But the way the park is, like wind isn't usually a huge factor there. So Alcantara not touching. Matt Sauer, he's gonna be a fade because he's only gone like a couple innings. I don't really think he's like really stretched out enough to with all the injuries they've had with like Glasnow and Snell's out and stuff. Like he I don't really see him going more than maybe 40 pitches. So at 8-3, like I think that's crazy pricing. Like he should be like 5K or something. So I'm not playing him even against a Miami team that has is a decent matchup there. So bat wise, the Marlins, like Sawyer's not a bad pitcher, so I wouldn't like necessarily want to stack against him, but they are so cheap here. There's almost in the 3K range, except for Edwards. So if you need a cheap stack, then I think there's other options, but you could go there. And then the Dodgers, I think, are definitely probably usually the third favorite stack here. Their ownership's lower because like they play in the West Coast and a lot of people want to see their teams play. Otani's been a little bit cool since coming back off of paternity leave. Like he had a stolen base and some hits and a decent number last night, but we're still waiting for him to hit a home run since then. I don't believe he has since he's returned. Betts has been solid. Freeman's been good. Hernandez, I like, but against lefties better. Edmonds got the day off yesterday. He should be back in lineup batting fifth. Will Smith has been solid, hitting both sides of the plate. Conforto is the one that really is intriguing here because his BVP against batter versus pitcher against Alcantara is outstanding. At 25 at bats, I think he's hitting like 400 with 4 home runs, but he's been ice cold recently. So is this the night that he snaps out of it? Maybe. Muncy profile is pretty solid here, and Pagas in the bottom of the lineup is after kind of having coming up last year and being really hot and then cooling off and spending some time in the minors and bouncing back and forth. And now he's up again. And it looked like he was about ready to get sent down, but then he started figuring things out and hitting things again. So I think he's on the right trajectory right now. Okay, so let's look at some builds and then get you on your way for your day. So, like I said, I'm taking Miller as my SP1. I am really debating DeGrom as my SP2, but maybe I'll pay up for Crochet or Peralta or Pavetta Webb makes sense also. There's so many options to go as the other pitcher. But again, like the price point in my build, I land right around DeGrom, and it's just like kind of like maybe here's what I do. Maybe here's what I do. I'll split my cash. I'll play, if I usually pay like $40 in cash, 20 of it will go on a DeGrom line, 20%, $20 will go on another line. And maybe I'll break even, maybe both will work out. But if he fails, then at least I didn't like blow all my cash. So I'm going with Milwaukee here. I know probably most people will go Atlanta, but I just really like the matchup here for Milwaukee against Chicago and their bullpen. So give me and Tampa Bay matching up with them. So Urania there, catcher. You could go Contreras, but if you want to pay up more for a pitcher, then I'm fine. Like punting with somebody cheap there and not having somebody in the stack. I'm not going to be playing, even though it would be a wraparound Jensen here at 3-6. I think I can do better and save money and get a better starting pitcher out of it or some better positioning players for that. Third base, I'll let you choose. Again, you have like Diaz and Caminero as great options to work into the Tampa Bay stack that we're building. Or if you want to throw Durbin in there and do like a wraparound for the Milwaukee stack, I'm good with that too. Ortiz, I'm throwing in a shortstop. I do kind of like him at 2-4 there at the bottom, doing a wraparound for Milwaukee. And then Yelich and Simpson, and I'll let you decide if you want to go with Frelick, or if you want to go with Chirino there, or if you want to switch back and build more on the Tampa Bay side of things, and Misner can go in there. That makes a lot of sense. GPP, I'm going to bite the bullet and hope that the strikeouts outweigh giving up the power and that the Rockies show up like the Rockies have and are really bad. And give me Smith Shawver there. And then I'm taking Olson from Detroit. I just like what I see there. I like the numbers and the matchup versus Houston, righty on righty, and I think he should have a solid night. So here's where I'm going to take the Braves to go with my Smith Schauer, give him some run support. So give me Olson, give me Riley, give me Verdugo, and then I'm going to fill in with Texas. So Smith leading off is where I'm going to go there, and then probably take a shot on Peterson. He's only 2-4, pretty cheap. And then I'll have to decide, do I want to go with like Langford and pay 5K up there? Or do I just take the two Texas, go with a 5-man GPP deck of Atlanta, and then maybe Semien second base might work there. It'd be like a 1-3-5 stack. Or maybe I'll just punt that. Maybe I'll put catcher, and maybe I'll throw um Albies in there also for the stack. There's just so many different ways to go, and that's why I like giving you a core that gives you options. So it's not like everybody watches the video, throws in the same line, and we all like tie for the same thing. It just helps you become creative, and sometimes like I'll go into a dollar contest for a GPP, and I'll hammer out like 5 or 6 different scenarios in the same like core lineup, and one of them like you get the right player like at low ownership, and they go off, and it kind of covers your losses for the night if your cash lineup doesn't work out, and that's happened several times this season, and it's been really good. So okay, as promised, the home run chase. So here's who I like. Raleigh at catcher. Really like him. He's got the splits advantage against Kochanowicz, and it's been one of the hottest home run hitters of the season. So good matchup, gets the split. So good to go with him at catcher. I'm going to take Alonso against a lefty, mashes lefties, wind blowing out 20 miles per hour. Love Alonso at second base. All right, at first base. Second base, like I kind of wish Betts was still second base eligible. I don't really have like one of my top four that I really love here. I mean, maybe Lau you could look at there. Bregman against Bowden, but like Bowden's better against righties and lefties. semi and righty and righty. I don't really like Train maybe against the White Sox. So there's like a potential when they're Torres and Altuve not interested. Albies, yeah, potentially they're between 5-7 and like all these like bats that I'm giving you are pretty much up there. Maybe Farmar lucks into one. The rest of the second baseman usually hit lower in the lineup. Maybe Edmonds against Alcantara. Third base, I like Riley. If you don't want to go Riley, I think Devers is equally as good and is going to save you 1,200. And if you're trying to be competitive in this line, not just try to find the four home runs. Shortstop, I don't really, again, like you're really paying up for a lot. So I'd probably just throw the cheapest shortstop that you can find in there. I mean, Witt's always an option for you. Dermo's not bad against the lefty. Lindor, but again, you're getting into the 5K range there. Story ready and ready and not super. Maybe Ortiz hits one at 2-4. That's not a bad one. Josh Smith, the lefty against Estes, has a little bit of power. I mean, that might be a great place to go there. Farmar again at Coors Field. Polanco at 4-3 is reasonable. Um, and bets at 5-5. It's just I like that, but I just you probably have to play all bats and just like relief pitchers or something to make that lineup work. Outfield, I really debated over. I really like lefties against Francis, and Grant only has one home run, and he's 5-2. So I don't know if I want to go there, but Abreu, I like that. So I think Abreu is going to be my official fourth one. So Abreu, Riley, Alonso, and Rayleigh as catcher is where I'm going to go as the core for the four home runs in the $18 bat flip to try to get those crowns. Other options, Richick or Gurriel are pretty cheap to throw in there. They get a lefty. Uh Cunha, no, he's a second baseman. There, he was second base outfield on FanDuel. It gives me a little confused. Relic maybe has a good matchup. Benintendi is usually cheap. Potentially, but Peralta's a really good pitcher. Josh Smith, if you don't use him at shortstop, is one there. Jock Peterson, I might take a shot there at 2-4. Like you got a lot of 5K people in this lineup. And like I said, maybe this is the night. So Jock Peterson's definitely one I like. Verdugo potentially there. He's more of a contact hitter, but maybe in Coors Field he can hit one out. One of the cheap like Moniak, Martinez, potentially Carpenter at 3-8 against Gusto. I kind of like that, or Riley Green against 9. But Carpenter, I actually looked at his ISO numbers. He was, if you don't want to go Abreu, I think like he would probably be the one right below it that I feel the most confident in. And at 3-8, it's not a bad price there. Also, San Diego, San Francisco game, don't really like anybody there. Seattle bats are a little expensive, like but Rally potentially at 3-7, and then I might throw Michael Conforto on there in there, like the BVP. I know, like that's kind of like the magical thing of years past that we go for, but maybe there's something in it. And at only 3-5, if he has Alcantara's number, if he hits this pitch selection well, even though he's in a slump and ice, freezing cold, maybe he and Jock Peterson break out. Those two bats are 6K total between the two of them, and it might help you work this lineup up. So that's what I got for the 18. Thanks for watching the video. Again, I'll try to get some more out this week. I don't have to. I think my parents are stable this week, and I don't have to get them to any appointments or anything to help them out with. But things might pop up, so I'll try to get a couple more out this week. But if not, I'll definitely be back next week with a couple of videos. So thanks again for watching. Thanks for being patient with this whole process here. Good luck in your contest. If these videos help us back, like, subscribe, share with your friends. And if you want, you can always get it. It's so cheap to our packages. Go to the description of the video. You can sign up and you get cores like every single day from FSi. It's like all the work that you see here on the screen, like we do. We give you like the pitchers and rank them. We give you the bats and rank them. We give you GPP core for FanDuel and for DK as long with cash. We cover the showdowns. We cover tiers, and it's very, very inexpensive. I think it's like $15 a week. So very, very, very cheap for you. And we cover it 7 days a week. If there's a dual slates, like a day and a night, we cover anything that's over like 3 games. That's not like overlapping with another slate, like turbos. Uh, don't usually do the turbo slates, but if anybody asks for it, if like for really want to play it, then we'll try to reach out and at least throw out an optimal course. So, thanks for watching. Good luck in your contests, and hope to see you next time, sometime soon this week.